all kinds of photos and stuff when her mother was alive, and it was really fascinating. One of the photos was dated about like a month before she disappeared, so it was kind of harrowing to look at that. Well, through talking with her, we formulated a plan, and we actually got one of the headstone companies, the original company that donated the stone that said Jane Doe. They actually donated a stone with her real name on it, and so that was really great of them. And you don't often get a story like that that has at least somewhat of a completion like that, and so that was really wonderful. Unfortunately, no one was ever arrested or convicted of the crime, which is a problem in Coles County. I've been told that there's actually a billboard in Florida, or there was a billboard in Florida, that said if you wanted to commit a murder and get away with it, do it in Coles County. Because in the late 1960s and 70s, there were about 5 or 6 murders of young women in and around the county that have never been solved. The Airtight Bridge murder was the last one that I can think of. And the police claimed they're all unrelated, right? So you had all these unrelated deaths of young women around the area, and the police never solved any of them. Basically, the police couldn't find their way out of a paper bag there in the county, apparently. But, you know, moving on. So, at Eastern, I got my master's degree in history. That's, you know, where I get my sort of interest in history and the skills that I use to get to the bottom of some of these stories. But I also went to Western Illinois University, and there I got a master's in education, which has been completely useless to me. So anybody thinking about that, just keep that in mind. I actually went there after I wrote about it for this book, Paranormal Illinois, because there was a lot of ghost stories at Western, and nobody had ever written about it before. I think it was mentioned in one, it was like the National Directory of Haunted Places had a little bit about it, but other than that, nobody had ever written about it before. So I went through their old newspaper archives, I interviewed people, and there's quite a few interesting tales there. One of which, sort of a gruesome story that I assumed was just sort of campus lore. People told me later that it was based in truth, or at least they believed it to be. So what are the stories? Well, in Simpkins Hall, which is the English building there, now it's English and Journalism, originally was built to be a training school for teachers. All these public universities in Illinois, Western, Eastern, I think the one at Bloomington Normal, they all started out as teachers' colleges. So basically they built a school that was elementary through high school, and the teachers that were being trained at Western would teach there. They would teach, you know, some professors enrolled their students there, or their children there, and some people from the community did too. And so if you go in there today, it looks like a high school. You'll see all, you know, rows of green lockers, and in some of the rooms there's even little hooks, you know, in closets where kids would hang their coats and stuff. So it's kind of interesting, and these stories developed that there are these ghosts of children that kind of wander around the halls, and nobody knows exactly, you know, what the gender of these children are. Some people say it's a girl, some people say it's a boy, but there's actually a pond outside where apparently in the 1920s there was a young boy who drowned in the pond. So that could have been an explanation for the stories. But that's not the only ghost to haunt that hall. There's another one upstairs in, I believe it used to be a library,